Have you guys seen the discourse around this? So basically, Sami kicked out at 1 after Gunther hit him with a power bomb, and then Gunther immediately put him in the sleeper and won. And there was just one tweet where they were like, "I hate no selling," and I'm like, it's not no selling. That's fighting spirit. That's like the biggest hype. Like Sami instantly kicking out of one of Gunther's many finishers is sick. And then Gunther immediately puts him in the sleeper and then wins, which is understandable. It is the adrenaline, the power, the will to go on, and he gets out and then he's put down. And that's like, shit, that's Sami's character. That's a guy who fights. And honestly, it's just this. Like, these are the guys who, like, don't like no selling and literally the coolest thing ever. It's just, it doesn't... I think it's a symptom of there being a growing number of people who don't really care too much about in-ring wrestling. And that's fine. You know, like the Attitude Era was all about the stories and the storytelling. And a lot of people who are around in the Attitude Era are coming back to wrestling. Or a lot of people who, got into wrestling because of the stories, because of social media, don't value wrestling. So they don't see how awesome the storytelling is in ring. Like, in-ring storytelling enhances the storytelling outside of the ring, because at the end of the day the feuds end with 2 or more people inside the ring, and I just feel like there's a lot of people who don't appreciate it as much. And like, in-ring wrestling doesn't need to be your favorite part about wrestling. That's fine. Many people prefer the stories being told, prefer the edginess of like the Attitude Era, prefer the like tribal chief saga. But once you appreciate the in-ring storytelling, it makes all those other things you love even better, even bigger. Like, I love New Japan for the in-ring wrestling, but New Japan also like tells stories through the wrestling, which enhances their outside stories. Obviously, they prioritize the in-ring story being told, but it relates to the outside the ring stuff, like Naito hating having the IC title because of what it represented and him being pulled away from a main event, the title being pulling him away from a main event. And sort of that storytelling is then translated through the in-ring storytelling. There's a lot more emphasis on that in New Japan. In WWE, obviously, there's more of an emphasis on the soap opera aspect, where they emphasize, Sami being an underdog, but when it comes to the in-ring wrestling part, they don't super talk about him being an underdog. They don't talk about him like having grit and determination from an in-ring perspective, and I think that's one thing that's lacking with WWE and many people who just either recently got into wrestling or have only ever watched WWE. And I was obviously like this when I thought WWE was the only wrestling, but once I was able to see other wrestling, I was able to appreciate the stories WWE told a lot more. And that's why it's the coolest thing ever.